everybody. Pandi here. Well, hello. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber and we're already chat family, you already know what it is. Kick back and relax as I get off up into my latest review and give commentary on Cherish the Day. Cherish the Day is a new trending series that is currently showcasing on BET as well as the Oprah Winfrey Network, as well as known as OWN. Okay. So, as you all know, we are all pretty much in self quarantine. Some people are mandated in their particular states. I, for one, since I work in a hospital, I am on self quarantine since I've been under the weather. So I've had nothing but time to catch up on my content. So I just want to welcome you over here. For the most part, over here, my channel is about hair, both natural hair as well as wigs, weaves. I do some TV show reviews. I do some light meal prep and a little bit of recipes. And I give weekly recaps on trending topics. So again, without further ado, I want to welcome you here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the commentary. And if you do enjoy the content, please take a moment to drop down in the comments and leave your positive feedback. I greatly appreciate it. And if you really enjoy the content, go ahead and blow dry on that like button for your girl. Okay? So let me get right into it, y'all. We are on Cherish the Day, Season 1, Episode 7, and I'm just glancing down at my notes, okay? The title was Synopsis. Now, we see this episode begin at Evan's urging. He and Gently spend the day basically shopping for a marriage counselor. It's now 2 years later, and they're kind of at a fork in the road. You know, they've kind of hit some bumps in the road, going as smoothly as it was when they first got together. You know, the sparks was flying, everything was magical. They're not there anymore. So basically, this episode begins with us seeing Evan and Gently sitting in a car in a parking garage, kind of going over some sort of questionnaire, some sort of paperwork, okay? And they were real, mm, they looked uncomfortable with one another. I'll say that. They looked real uncomfortable with one another. And Evan looks over at Gently and he says, "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" And she says, "Yes." So they step out of the car. They reluctantly grab each other's hands and they walk into, whatever the building was of the parking garage. They go inside. Okay. So next we see the two of them meeting with what appears to be some sort of a couples counselor. Okay. It was a Caucasian gentleman. They discussed the fact that it's now 2 years later. Bentley is successfully thriving. She opened up that podcast that she and Miss Luma's manager or agent were pursuing in the previous episode. So 2 years has lapsed. When she first got with Evan, she was this free spirit. She only job and source of income she had, she was caretaker to Miss Luma. So 2 years have gone by. They've been married, and she's now doing her thing in the podcasting field. Okay, and it all started off of her goal of wanting to shine the spotlight on Miss Luma. So she's doing her thing. She got her podcast. It's trending. She's successful. Now, remember Evan wanted to start his online tech company, him and his buddy Jado. Okay, remember that? They were trying to get it funded. She was trying to encourage him and be a support and tell him to just basically step out on faith and go for it. You're not happy, even though you have this great career, you're making a ton of money, but you're unhappy. Your goal and your dream is to go ahead and pursue this tech company. So that's where we last seen them. Well, now, fast forward 2 years later, here they are in marital counseling. She's thriving as a podcaster, and his company has flopped. It's tanked. He's no longer even in business, and they don't even cool anymore. They fell out. Okay. So they're talking with the counselor. Gently is, like I said, running a #1 trending podcast, and Evan mentions that he's a former CEO of a small tech company. Okay. Now, apparently, they're contemplating basically where their relationship is right now. This is why they're there. Now, I didn't realize at the time, but this is just their first stop. They're sitting in and kind of having these mini consultations with these marriage because they're trying to find a good fit for them. They're not just going to go take the first one that they come to. They're trying to find a good fit. Okay, so they're sitting down and they're kind of giving their little spiel on what's going on and what brought them to the appointment today. Okay, so the counselor has them do a few exercises to determine how they got there. During these exercises, they pretty much reminisce and reflect on how they met, the course of their relationship, and what they truly mean to each other. He makes them pose the tough questions on one another, and apparently he's their first stop. Like I said, they were shopping other counselors that day. Now, there appears to be some sort of break in their connection. Like I said, Gently appears very withdrawn, while Evan sincerely seems to want to work through the situation. Um, she's just very withdrawn because, I don't know, whatever the break is, she's just like over it. And he's just like over it in the sense that he's tired of trying to make amends with her, but then, she's not even put the same effort. Now, their next appointment is with one of Miss Luma's referrals. Her name is Dr. Cora LaRose. She's more non-traditional. She seems very eccentric, yet very down to earth, but she appears to be more of a fan of Gently by his counselor. She's like big up in her on her podcast work. She's telling her that she always tunes in for the tea. And you could clearly see that this Evan was just like, oh God, here we go. So he didn't feel right off the bat that this was going to go anywhere for them because she's sitting up here fanning out over Gently. Okay. Rather than listening and hearing them out for the purposes of what they're there for. Okay. Now, in this meeting, it's apparent that the roles have definitely shifted. Gently was very emotionally supportive of Evan, starting out on his own. But now that did not pan out for him and her career has taken off, Gently has always felt as though he's never fully supported her going after her vision of creating the podcast the way when she came into the relationship, she fully supported him leaving his corporate job and going and doing his own thing. So that's kind of where they are. Now, they acknowledged during this exercise session that their intimacy has become more infrequent. So then it comes out and Gently admits that she's lost trust in him. And so Dr. Cora says, well, explain that, give us a little bit more information as to how you came up with that decision. And she shares that she lost trust in Evan because of the way he treated Jado. She says that when it came down to crunch time and the investors were, I guess, upset over where a mistake was made, they needed someone to throw under the bus. And he chose Jado. She felt like that was their friend more so than just a business partner. That was their family friend, that been there through the thick and thin, who supported the vision, who supported the dream, who, participated in their life, participated in their marriage, and just threw them out like the trash. Where Evan sees it as Gently, it's a business decision, and this is business. So I don't know why she was correlating the two because that is business and this is marriage, but there's definitely more underlying things. But whatever the case is, they have serious issues in their relationship. Next, we see them meet up with another counselor. This time, it's a black male, and Dr. Cora was a black woman, by the way. So they are truly shopping. They're filling out all their options, trying to find the right fit, someone who's going to be able to help them. And the good thing about this whole picture is, I feel like as millennials, they are taking the necessary steps to recognize that hey, we do love each other, but we have a serious problem, and they're coming together in agreement to try to get a professional involved to sit down and work through it. So I say kudos to them for that. Okay. So next we see them meeting up with this black male counselor. And during this session, she begins to reminisce on the first time that she introduced Evan to Pops, Ben, and her uncles. The relationship she had with his niece, they just reminisce over everything. They're like showing all these scenes from the first few episodes that we've seen thus far, where everything was peachy, everything was loving, everything was good. Lastly, they talk about his mother and how she never saw it for Gently. She just didn't. Right off the bat, she was like, mm-mm. She never saw it for her. So they're not particularly feeling the exercise, and it's further enforcing the differences that they have, because remember, they come from two completely different backgrounds. Gently was abandoned at a young age. Pops and the uncles, who aren't really her biological uncles, but they are her biological father's homeboys, they raised her in the hood in Cali. They're ex gangbangers. So, and her mom was a dope fiend, so she was never around. She was literally abandoned, but these men took her in and they raised her as their daughter and their niece. So she come up hard. She come up hood. She come up from the streets. Now, when she graduated from high school, she began to travel the world and she just was more of this free spirit, but yet she background, so she's very no nonsense and she's not having it. Whereas Evan has this Ivy League upbringing, fed with a long handled silver spoon, very bougie, very professional, very well rounded, very mild mannered, definitely a gentleman, high society type of boy. Okay, so the two of them coming together is a total opposites do attract thing. So this whole exercise that this counselor is having them do, they're reflecting back on their different backgrounds. And he says, I should have just left it right there. And he's going back to the time when they went on the first date and they had the argument when they went to go pick up the refrigerator, and she ended up leaving him in the El Camino and he had to Uber back to the hood to get his car. He's saying he should have just never pursued the relationship. So the counselor gets them to go into that and kind of discuss it, which then turns into a heated argument, at which point the counselor has them do one last exercise. They're kind of outdoors in this very scenic area. He has them step to this, it looks like a plank board that's floating in a pond. You can see the little koi fish swimming underneath. It was very beautiful. He has them step on that, and he tells them to hold hands and look into each other's eyes and to hold each other up in support. Now, if either one of them would have made a wrong move, they would have flipped over on that board and been in the water. They're standing there on this float in this pond, looking into each other's eyes. Gently's eyes begin to water. And, I believe all the hurt and the pain and just everything that has gone on thus far up through these last 2 years is coming up, and it's starting to fill her up to where she's just needing to let it out. But she comes from this tough background and her exterior just won't let her do it. And Gently, Evan is just looking at her like, woman, I love every fiber of you, whatever it is, whether I understand it or not, baby, I'm here for you. And you know how TV is, y'all. So right there, y'all, that was season 1, episode 7 of Cherish the Day Synopsis, and that is my commentary and my review of it. If I left anything out, y'all, drop down in the comments and let your girl know so that we can get on the same page. Y'all, I must admit, I wasn't too happy with this episode. Now, I have enjoyed this show thus far. Every episode, I have enjoyed it. It has always been intriguing, very fulfilling. The drama, but this episode, I was just like, what a horrible way to leave us hanging. But I'm tonight, I believe, which is the new episode. I'm hoping that something takes place to bridge the gap and bring it back to fruition for us, because I wasn't feeling the ending. I feel like this episode did too much reflecting on every other episode that we've already seen. And if you're like me and you've been watching every episode, you just didn't need to see a repeat of every clip. So I enjoyed it. I will continue to follow the show and review it. Drop down in the comments, y'all. Let me know what you thought. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. I want to thank you guys for joining me and watching. And if you enjoyed the review and the commentary, please drop down in the comments. Let me for your girl. If you really enjoying the comment, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.